Hey guys, tonight we're taking a journey into a world of profound spiritual power. A world born from one of the most brutal chapters in human history. We are traveling to the 18th century French colony of Saint-Domingue, the island that would one day become Haiti. It was a place of immense wealth built on unimaginable suffering, and it was in the fires of this suffering that a new, powerful, and deeply misunderstood religion was forged: Haitian Voodoo. We're going to explore the disturbing origins of the rituals and objects associated with this faith, including the famous Voodoo doll, not as a Hollywood caricature, but as a real tool of spiritual resistance. Now, for our little reality check. The image of a voodoo doll full of pins is largely a fictional invention, a sensationalized idea with its roots more in European folk magic than in authentic African or Haitian practice. In reality, the use of effigies or dolls in Haitian Voodoo is a far more complex and nuanced affair, used for everything from healing and protection to focusing spiritual energy for a curse. But the most disturbing origin of all is the context in which this faith was born: the brutal, soul-crushing reality of slavery. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support helps bring these complex, and sometimes difficult, histories to light, and as always, I'd love to know where you're joining from. Please post your city and your local time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your world, the world you were born into, is one of red earth, brilliant green forests, and the warm, familiar sun of West Africa. You are a young man of the Fawn people, living in a small village in the kingdom of Dahomey. Your life is one of order, of kinship, and of a deep, abiding connection to the spirits that inhabit the world around you. Your days are spent working the fields with your family. Your nights are spent listening to the stories of the elders. You have a name. You have a lineage. You are free. This world ends in a storm of violence and terror. Slave raiders from a rival kingdom, armed with muskets they have gotten from the pale men on the coast, descend upon your village. Your family is scattered. You are captured, bound with ropes, and march for weeks towards the sea. You arrive at a great stone fort on the coast, a place of unimaginable despair. Here, you are herded into a crowded stone courtyard with hundreds of other captives from dozens of different tribes. You hear languages you do not understand. You see people whose ritual scars and clothing are alien to you. And for the first time, you see the great salt water, the endless ocean that you had only ever heard of in legends. The true horror begins when you are forced through a dark doorway and into the belly of a great wooden ship. You are plunged into a world of absolute darkness. A darkness so complete it is like being buried alive. The air is a thick, foul poison, a suffocating mixture of sweat, fear, sickness, and the stench of human waste. You are packed onto a rough wooden shelf with dozens of other men, chained so tightly that you cannot sit up or even turn over. The skin of your shoulders and hips is rubbed raw against the rough wood. This becomes your entire universe. There is no sun, no moon, no sense of time. There is only the constant, rhythmic creaking of the ship's timbers, the sloshing of the bilge water below you, and the sound of human misery, the weeping of the newly captured, the groans of the sick, the quiet, final sigh of the dying. Twice a day, the sailors bring food, a foul-smelling gruel of beans or yams, pushed into your face in a wooden bowl. It is barely enough to keep you alive. The water they give you is stale and brackish. Many refuse to eat, choosing to starve rather than endure this living hell. Many more fall ill with the bloody flux. Their quiet deaths a small, temporary relief from the suffocating misery of the hold. In this absolute darkness, stripped of your name, your family, your freedom, and your humanity. The only thing you have left is your spirit, You cling to the memory of your home and to the power of your gods in the secret chamber of your mind. You pray. You pray to Legba, the spirit of the crossroads, the one who opens the way, praying he might open a way for you out of this darkness. You pray to Gu, the god of iron and war, praying he might give you the strength to break your chains. You are not alone in your quiet devotion. In the darkness, you begin to hear the man chained beside you, a man whose language you do not speak, whispering his own prayers. He whispers a name. Eshu. You do not know this name, but the spirit he describes a trickster, a guardian of the gate. A messenger is one you recognize instantly. It is your Legba wearing a different name. You hear another man, further down the line, humming a quiet, mournful tune. A song for a spirit of the sea whose name is Yamoja, and you realize that even in this place of utter despair, where your captors have tried to erase everything you are, your gods are still with you. They have been crammed into this dark, stinking hold right alongside you, and they are beginning to recognize each other. The journey lasts for an eternity. You lose all sense of yourself. You are no longer a man. You are cargo. You are a piece of property, enduring the great, terrible saltwater crossing. Then, one day, there is a change in the rhythm of the ship. You hear a new sound above the cry of a seabird. A different kind of light begins to filter through the cracks in the deck above. The air that drifts down smells different. Not just of salt, but of green. Living things. A great shouting and activity begins on the deck above. The hatches are thrown open, and a blinding, painful sunlight floods the hold for the first time in months. You are unchained and brutally herded up onto the deck. Your eyes watering, your limbs weak and trembling. You stand, blinking, in the brilliant tropical sun, and you see it on the horizon. A sight of impossible beauty and terror. A great green mountain, rising from a turquoise sea. A sailor shouts a word you do not understand, but whose meaning is unmistakable. Terra land. You have survived the Middle Passage. You have arrived in the French colony of Saint-Domingue. You do not know it yet, but you have been brought to the place that will become the forge of a new faith. The crucible where the spirits of your ancestors and the gods of a dozen other African peoples will merge and be given new names and new power. Your old life is over. Your terrible new life, and your education in the disturbing and powerful arts of Voodoo, is about to begin. You are herded from the ship with the other survivors of the saltwater crossing. A gaunt and shuffling line of human cargo. You step onto the docks of Cap Français, the great port city of the French colony of Saint-Domingue. The heat is a physical blow, a thick, wet blanket that suffocates you. The city is a whirlwind of strange sights and sounds tall. Stone buildings with elegant iron balconies. The chatter of a harsh, clipped language you do not understand. The crack of whips and the constant, underlying hum of human misery. You are taken to the slave market. It is a dusty, open square where you and the others are put on display on a raised wooden platform. You are an object now. A piece of livestock to be inspected. Pale-skinned men in fine linen suits and wide-brimmed hats walk among you. Their faces impassive. They pry open your mouth to inspect your teeth. They squeeze the muscles of your arms and legs. Assessing your strength. They treat you with a detached, professional appraisal of a farmer buying an ox. You are sold. A man with a cruel, thin mouth and pale, Dead Eyes pays a handful of silver coins for you. You are now the property of a sugar plantation. You are dragged from the platform and a hot iron, shaped like a letter C, is pressed into the skin of your shoulder. The pain is a searing, white-hot agony, and the smell of your own burning flesh fills your nostrils. You are no longer a man with a family and a name. You are now branded property, marked for life. You are given a new name. A short, harsh French name you cannot properly pronounce. You do not accept it in your heart. You keep your true name, a secret, precious thing. You are chained to a dozen other newly purchased souls and marched out of the city. You walk for a full day, away from the sea, inland towards the high mountains. The landscape is beautiful, a vibrant, almost violent green, lush with strange flowers and towering trees. But it is a beauty that feels alien and threatening to you. You arrive at your new home, the sugar plantation of Monsieur Charpentier. It is a vast enterprise. You see the grand case, the great house of the master from a distance. It is a magnificent two-story house with wide verandas, painted a brilliant white, an island of obscene luxury in a sea of misery. Then you are led to the slave quarters, a collection of small, windowless, dirt floor huts made of wattle and daub, with simple thatched roofs. This is where you will live, and between the great house and your squalid hut lies the engine of this place. The source of its wealth and its horror, the sugar works. The great, grinding mill and the towering chimney of the boiling house. This is where your new life, and likely your death, will be centered. Your education in the art of making sugar begins the next day before dawn. It is a lesson in a special kind of hell. The work is divided into brutal, relentless stages. First, the fields. You are sent out with a gang of other slaves into the vast fields of sugarcane. You are given a heavy, long-bladed cane knife. The work is to cut the ripe cane under the brutal, punishing sun. The cane stalks are thick and heavy. The leaves are like 1,000 tiny knives, leaving your arms and face with a network of bleeding cuts. And above you, on horseback, is the overseer, the commandeur, his whip a constant, whistling threat. You work from the moment the sun rises until it sets, your back screaming, your hands blistered and bleeding. Next, the mill. The cut cane is brought to the great grinding mill, a massive machine of two heavy, vertical rollers powered by mules or oxen walking in an endless circle. Your job is to feed the cane into the rollers. It is terrifying work. You must push the heavy stalks into the powerful grinding mechanism. Your hands just inches from the rollers that can catch a finger, a hand, an arm, and pull your entire body into the machine. A man stands beside the mill at all times, holding a sharp hatchet. His only job to sever the limb of anyone who gets caught, to save their life by maiming them. But the worst place, the true heart of this hell, is the boiling house. Inside, the heat is a physical force that chokes you, so intense it is difficult to breathe. The air is thick with a sweet, cloying steam that burns your lungs. Here, the cane juice extracted by the mill is boiled in a series of great, open copper cauldrons, each one hotter than the last. Your job is to ladle the boiling, molten liquid from one cauldron to the next, a process that refines the juice into thick, brown molasses and, finally, into crystallized sugar. You are surrounded by vats of boiling liquid. A single misstep, a single splash, means a horrific, scalding burn. You see men and women whose arms and faces are a geography of old, melted-looking scars from such accidents. This is your new life, a relentless cycle of backbreaking, dangerous labor, fueled by a meager ration of sweet potatoes and salted fish, and enforced by the ever-present threat of the whip. You learn that a slave's life is cheap here. The masters of Saint-Domingue have made a cold calculation. It is more profitable to work a slave to death over the course of 7 or 8 years and then simply buy a new one, than it is to provide them with enough food, rest, and care to live a long life. You are a disposable tool, a piece of equipment to be used up and then discarded. Future historians, in their comfortable libraries, will debate the reasons for the unique brutality of this place. Was it the nature of sugar itself, a crop that demands such intense, unceasing labor? Was it the demographic imbalance? The fact that the enslaved outnumbered their white masters by more than 10 to 1, creating a constant, simmering atmosphere of fear that could only be controlled by terror? Or was it the sheer, naked greed of the French planters, a get-rich-quick mentality that saw human lives as nothing more than an entry in a profit and loss ledger? You do not have the luxury of such academic debates. You are living the answer. It is all of them. You learn to survive. You learn to make your body numb to the pain. You learn to make your mind a small, secret, quiet place. And you learn to watch. You see the small. Secret acts of defiance that keep the spark of humanity alive. A worker accidentally breaking a tool, causing a small delay, a stolen piece of fruit, and at night, in the slave quarters, you hear the quiet, sorrowful singing, songs of the homelands, sung in a dozen different tongues, a quiet refusal to forget. One night, as you lie on the dirt floor of your hut, every muscle in your body an aching fire, you hear a new sound. It is coming from a hut nearby. It is a soft, rhythmic sound, a drumming. Not the loud, boisterous drumming of a festival, but a quiet, secret, and complex rhythm played out on a small, hidden drum. You recognize the rhythm. It is a rhythm from your own people, a rhythm used to call upon the spirit of Legba. You lie there in the darkness, listening to the forbidden beat, and you realize, with a jolt that is not of fear but of a sudden, fierce hope, that you are not alone. Your body has been brought to this terrible new land, but your gods have come with you. You follow the sound of the secret drum. It leads you away from the squalid slave quarters, deep into the tall, thick maze of the sugarcane fields. The cane rises high over your head, the sharp leaves rustling in the night breeze like whispers. In a small, hidden clearing, shielded from view on all sides, a small group of your fellow slaves is gathered. The scene is lit by a single, small fire. An old man sits, his hands a blur of motion on a small, hand-held drum, coaxing out the familiar, complex rhythm that called to you. A dozen other people are gathered around, their faces, weary from a day of brutal labor, now alive with a new and secret energy. In the center of the clearing is a simple, makeshift altar, and on it, you see a collection of objects that confuses your very soul. You see a familiar fetish, a small wooden figure bound with cord, an object of power for a spirit from your homeland? But next to it rests a crudely carved wooden cross, and beside that is a printed image, torn from one of the Master's prayer books, of a white-skinned man with a white beard, holding a set of great keys, an old woman, the clear leader of this small, secret congregation. Sees the confusion in your eyes. She is a woman named Brigitte, but the people call her Maman Brigitte. Her face is a mask of deep wrinkles, but her eyes are sharp and burn with an immense, ancient power. She beckons you forward, beckons you. You heard the call of the drum, she says. Her voice a low, raspy whisper. You heard the voice of Legba, but you see the face of the white man's saint, and you are confused. You nod, unable to speak. They have taken our bodies, she says, her voice growing hard as stone. They have taken our names. They try to take our spirits. They march us to their church. They pour their water on our heads. And they tell us we must now pray to their cold. White gods and their sad, bleeding man on a cross. They tell us our own gods. The great Loa, are devils. They forbid us from speaking their names. She gestures to the small, strange altar. But our gods are older and stronger than their laws. They have crossed the great salt water with us. They will not be abandoned. So, we have taught them how to hide. This is your first great lesson in the New World. This is the disturbing, brilliant, and necessary origin of the faith your people are forging in this hell. It is a religion of secrets, of masks, of a defiant and powerful syncretism. Maman Brigitte picks up the picture of the white-bearded man with the keys. The masters tell us this is their saint. Peter, she says, her lip curling with a faint sneer. They say he is the gatekeeper of their heaven. A powerful man. So we honor him. We place his image on our altar. But when we pour the rum, when we play the drum beat, it is not Peter we are calling. We are calling Legba, the master of the crossroads, the one who truly holds the keys, the one who opens the gate between our world and the world of the spirits. The masters see a saint. We see our Loa. Wearing the saint's face is a clever disguise. It's a brilliant system. The overseer sees you praying before a statue and thinks you're being a good, pious Christian. He has no idea you're actually talking to a powerful African spirit who enjoys offerings of rum and spicy food. She explains how this secret system works for all the great spirits. She tells you that the great serpent god of your people, Dambala, the spirit of wisdom and creation, is now hidden behind the image of Saint Patrick, the man from the master's stories who is always depicted with snakes at his feet. She tells you that Ogu, the fierce spirit of iron, of war, and of the forge, is now honored through the image of Saint James the Greater, the warrior saint often shown with a sword. And she tells you that the spirits of love and sorrow, the beautiful and terrible Urzuli, can be spoken to through the images of the Virgin Mary. Future historians and anthropologists will debate the nature of this fusion. Was it a conscious act of resistance or a slow, unconscious blending? But you, in this secret, firelit clearing, know the truth. This is a deliberate and brilliant strategy of spiritual survival. It is an act of defiance. It is the one place where you, the slave, are smarter than your master. Maman Brigitte invites you to join the small ritual. An offering is being made to Legba to ask him to open the way for a new venture, to protect the community. A bottle of cheap rum, stolen from the master's stores, is brought forth. A prayer is said. First, a muddled Catholic prayer to St. Peter, for the benefit of any listening ears. And then the true, quiet invocation in the tongue of your homeland, calling to Legba. The rum is poured onto the earth before the image of the saint. The old man begins to play the drum again. The specific, complex rhythm of Legba. A woman begins to dance. Her movements at first slow, then more frantic. You feel the power in the clearing rise, the familiar presence of the spirit you have known since you were a child. He is here. Legba is in this place. He has not abandoned you. He has simply learned to wear a new mask. The experience is a revelation. The profound, soul-crushing hopelessness that has been your constant companion since you were dragged from your home begins to recede, replaced by a new, fierce, and secret hope. You are a slave. Your body is owned by another man. Your waking hours are a torment of brutal, endless labor. But your spirit is still your own. And it belongs to this secret community, to this hidden faith that is growing in the shadows of the sugarcane fields. Maman Brigitte watches you. She sees the fire of understanding in your eyes. She sees the way you respond to the rhythm of the drum. She sees that the spirits have not forgotten you. You have the gift. She says to you after the small ceremony is over, "The Loa have their eyes on you. I will teach you. I will teach you the rites. I will teach you how to serve the spirits, how to ask for their aid, and how to use their power." She will teach you, she says, how to create a focus for that power, how to take a simple doll of cloth or wax, how to bind it to a person with a piece of their hair or their clothes, and how to use it as a vessel for the spirit's will, for healing, for protection, or for a terrible curse. You look at the old Mambo, at her wise and powerful eyes, and you feel no fear. You feel only a sense of purpose. Your journey into the heart of Voodoo, and into the disturbing origins of its true power, has just begun. Your apprenticeship begins. It is a secret education, conducted in stolen moments, in the deep darkness of the night after the brutal work of the day is done. Your teacher is Maman Brigitte, the old Mambo, the spiritual mother of your small, secret community. Your classroom is a secluded clearing in the sugarcane fields. Your textbook is the oral history of your people. And your subject is the ancient and powerful magic they have carried with them across the saltwater. Your first lesson is not about dolls or pins or curses. It is a lesson in spiritual anatomy. A person is more than the flesh and bone you can see, Maman Brigitte tells you, her voice a low whisper that seems to blend with the rustling of the cane leaves around you. Every person has a life force, a spirit, a nam, and this spirit is not neatly contained within the skin. It is like a perfume. It leaves a trace on everything it touches. She teaches you the great and fundamental principle of sympathetic magic. The law that underpins everything you are about to learn? The part, she explains, is the whole. An object that has been in intimate contact with a person a piece of their clothing. A tool they have handled retains a piece of their spiritual essence. And things that come from a person's body, a lock of hair, a fingernail clipping, a drop of blood or spit are not just connected to them. In a magical sense, they are them. To have a man's hair, she whispers, her eyes gleaming in the moonlight, is to have the thoughts from his head. To have the cloth that has soaked his sweat is to have a piece of his strength, and to have his blood. That is to have the key to his very soul. This knowledge changes the way you see the world. It is a world of invisible connections, of hidden dangers and opportunities. A stray fingernail clipping isn't just unsightly, it's a potential magical weapon that can be used against you. Personal grooming suddenly has very high stakes. Your first tasks as an apprentice are to learn the art of gathering these spiritual ingredients. It is a training in stealth and observation. Maman Brigitte sends you on small, secret errands. You must learn to gather these things for both benevolent and malevolent purposes. She teaches you to gather items for healing. You discreetly take a small stone from the hearth of a hut where a child is sick with a fever. The stone holds the heat of the home and can be used in a ritual of cooling. You snip a single tiny thread from the blanket of a man with a racking cough, so that a spell can be worked to soothe his lungs. But she also teaches you the more dangerous art of gathering items from your enemies, the White Masters. This is an act of immense risk and profound resistance. You learn to walk behind the brutal overseer, the commandeur, as he patrols the fields. You wait until he is gone, and then you quickly scoop up a pinch of the dust from his most recent footprint. This dust now holds his presence. His ability to walk and to stand over you. You learn to watch the laundry lines near the great house, to spot the specific shirt the master wore yesterday, and to pray for a strong wind that might snag a single thread on a nearby branch for you to collect. Your new life lessons include never let anyone get a hold of your laundry. It's not about cleanliness, it's about making sure an enemy doesn't unravel a thread from your shirt and use it to curse you with boils. This knowledge is a double-edged sword. Maman Brigitte teaches you not only how to gather these links, but also how to protect your own. You learn to be meticulously careful. You never spit on the ground carelessly. You burn any stray hairs that come loose from your head. You become a guardian of your own essence, aware that any small piece of yourself, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be used to bring you ruin. Your first truly magical act is not an attack, but a defense. Maman Brigitte guides you as you create your own garde, a personal protective charm. You take a clipping from your own fingernail, a lock of your own hair, and you bind them together with specific protective herbs and wrap them tightly in a small piece of red cloth. You wear this charm hidden beneath your clothes always. It is a magical lock on your own soul. You are witnessing a profound and desperate system of belief. Future historians will debate the rationality of magic, but you see that this is a perfectly logical system. Given the premise that spiritual link exists between a person and the things they touch, every conclusion, every ritual, every precaution follows with a perfect, unbreakable logic. It is the science of a people who have been stripped of all other forms of power, and who have, in response, become masters of the invisible after weeks of this training. Maman Brigitte decides you are ready for the next step. The overseer of your work gang has been particularly cruel. He has whipped a man nearly to death for a minor infraction. The community is simmering with a silent, helpless rage. Maman Brigitte tells you that a blow must be struck, not with a cane knife, but with Heka, the magic you have been studying in an earlier life as an Egyptian scribe. Or was that someone else? You find yourself getting confused. We will send him a message, she says, her eyes hard as flint. We will remind him that even a master is not immune to the world of spirits. You will gather what is needed. Your most dangerous assignment has begun. You must acquire a direct, powerful link to the overseer himself. For 2 days, you watch him. Your heart a cold knot of fear. You follow him. You observe his habits. On the 3rd day, you see your chance. He is at the edge of the fields, shouting at a worker. He leans against a tree, and after he leaves, you see it a few strands of his greasy, dark hair snagged on the rough bark. That evening, you find a place where he relieved himself, and you carefully scoop up a small amount of the earth that has been soaked with his urine. The next morning, you manage to steal a small, sweat-stained rag he had used to wipe his face and had discarded near the mill. You bring these things the hair, the urine-soaked earth, the sweat-stained rag to Maman Brigitte in your secret clearing that night. They are disgusting, profane objects, but in the world of magic, they are treasures. They are the keys to his very soul. She inspects your collection, her old face breaking into a rare, grim smile. She holds up the few strands of hair. You have his thoughts, she whispers. She holds up the rag. You have his strength. She holds up the small packet of earth. And you have his life water. She looks at you, her eyes filled with a new respect. You have learned the first great secret, she says. You have learned how to gather the pieces of a soul. She gestures to a small pile of other materials she has assembled 2 sticks. A bit of Spanish moss, some scraps of cloth. Now, she says, her voice a low, powerful hum. I will teach you the second great secret. I will teach you how to build the house in which to put his soul. I will teach you how to make a pwen, a focus, a vessel. She will teach you how to build a doll. Your apprenticeship with Maman Brigitte continues in the stolen hours of the night. In the secret, moonlit clearing, she moves from the theory of sympathetic magic to its grim and powerful practice. Tonight, she will teach you how to build a vessel for a spirit. Tonight, you will learn to make a doll. You lay out the items you so carefully and riskily gathered the few strands of the overseer's dark. Greasy hair, the small packet of earth soaked with his urine, the sweat-stained rag. To your old self, they are nothing but filth. To your new self, the apprentice magician, they are reagents of immense power. They are the keys to the man himself. Maman Brigitte takes the items and nods with grim approval. You have done well, she says. You have brought me the man's shadow. Now, we must build it a body. She explains that the magic she is about to perform, the casting of a curse or a wanga, needs a focus. You cannot simply shout your anger into the wind. She says, the spirits are deaf to such things. You must give your will a shape. You must give the Loa a target to see. This doll, this pwen, will be that target. It will be a small body for the overseer's soul. She shows you the simple materials she has gathered. 2 sturdy sticks, one slightly shorter than the other, a great handful of the gray-green Spanish moss that hangs from the trees, a ball of black thread, and a few scraps of cloth. You are learning arts and crafts. Today's project is making a small doll out of sticks, moss, and a piece of a sweaty rag you stole from your worst enemy. It's a very specific kind of crafting circle. The work begins under the light of a single, small fire It is a quiet, deliberate, and deeply ritualistic process. First, she has you lash the two sticks together with a piece of cord to form a simple cross. The armature of a body, with a head, two arms, and a single leg. Then comes the most crucial step. She takes the items you gathered: the hair, the rag, the packet of earth, and she carefully places them at the intersection of the two sticks, where the heart of the doll would be. This is his essence, she whispers as she works. His thoughts from his hair, his strength from his sweat, his life water from the earth. We are placing his spirit inside our vessel. The most important step in making a spirit vessel doll is stuffing it with your target's hair and fingernail clippings. It's what really gives the doll its personal and deeply creepy touch. Once the spiritual core is in place, you and she begin to flesh out the body. You take handfuls of the soft, dry Spanish moss and wrap it around the stick frame, giving the effigy its shape and form. A larger ball for the head, thinner strands for the arms and legs. Then, you give it its skin. You take the scraps of cloth and wrap them around the moss, holding the stuffing in place. For the final layer, Maman Brigitte uses the very sweat rag you stole from the overseer, tearing it into strips and wrapping the doll's torso with it. His own garment now becomes the skin of his new, small body. Finally, you take the black thread and, beginning at the feet and working your way up to the head, you bind the entire doll tightly, wrapping it again and again until the stuffing is secure and the cloth is held fast. The binding is both practical and symbolic. Containing the magical charge within the object, the doll is finished. You hold it in your hand. It is a crude, lumpy, and featureless thing. It has no face, no fingers, no toes. It is barely recognizable as a human form. And yet it feels heavy. It seems to have a presence, a weight that is more than just the sum of its humble parts. It is almost complete. Maman Brigitte says, "We have built the house, and we have placed the man's spirit inside, but it is still just a doll. To make it a true Puen, to make it live, we must give it a name." She takes the doll from you and holds it over the smoke of the small fire. She takes a mouthful of rum from a flask and sprays a fine mist over the doll, a ritual cleansing and blessing. Then she speaks to it, her voice a low, commanding chant. You are no longer sticks and moss. She says, "You are flesh and bone. You are no longer a doll. You are a man." She then speaks the name of the cruel overseer, a name that all the slaves whisper with fear and hatred. "I name you Jean-Pierre." She declares, "As I hold you, I hold him. As I speak to you, I speak to him. As this fire warms you, so too does it warm him. Your two bodies are now one." She hands the doll back to you. It feels different now. The air around it seems to shimmer in the firelight. It feels strangely warm in your hand. Or perhaps that is just your imagination. You've finished your first curse doll. It's lumpy, asymmetrical, and smells faintly of your boss. You give yourself a passing grade for effort, but a failing grade for aesthetics. You have learned the second great secret. You have learned how to take the stolen pieces of a man's soul and build them a new home. A home that you now control. You look at the small, crude effigy in your hand, the vessel that now contains the spiritual double of your greatest enemy. You feel a terrifying sense of power. Maman Brigitte sees the look in your eyes. "It is a great power, little one," she says softly. "But it is not our power. It is the power of the Loa, the great spirits. The doll is just the key. It is the door through which their power can touch our enemies. We do not command the spirits, we only ask for their aid." She looks at the doll, then at you. Her face is grim in the firelight. "The house is built?" she says. "The spirit is now within it. Go now and rest for tomorrow night, at the dark of the moon. We will hold a great ceremony. We will call down Aloha, and we will present this small man to him and ask for justice. You carry the doll back to your hut, wrapping it carefully in a clean cloth and hiding it away. You lie on your sleeping mat, but you do not sleep. You can feel the presence of the doll in the corner of your small hut. A silent, waiting concentration of power and purpose. You have learned how to forge a weapon. Tomorrow night, you will learn how to wield it. The night of the dark moon arrives, and a new, potent energy fills your small, secret community. This will not be a simple gathering for prayer. This is a night of judgment, a night when you will appeal to the great and terrible spirits. The Loa for justice. You follow Maman Brigitte to the hidden clearing, the crude doll you helped create wrapped carefully in a cloth and tucked into your belt. The scene in the clearing is more intense than before. A great fire has been built, its flames leaping high into the night, casting wild, dancing shadows. In the center of the clearing, Maman Brigitte and her assistants have drawn a great, intricate symbol on the earth with cornmeal. A veve. It is a complex, beautiful, and powerful drawing. A spiritual gateway. A visual prayer designed to call a specific low to this place. The drumming begins. It is different from the rhythm you heard before. This beat is faster, harder, more aggressive. It is a hot rhythm, a petro rhythm. And Maman Brigitte explains that tonight. You do not call upon the cool, patient spirits of Africa. You call upon the spirits forged in the fire and rage of this new world. Saint-Domingue. Tonight, she says, her voice a low growl. We call a warrior to a fight. The chanting begins. A call and response between Maman Brigitte and the small congregation. The energy builds. The drumming becomes a relentless, hypnotic thunder. The people begin to dance, their bodies moving with the rhythm, their feet stomping the earth. They are no longer just tired slaves, they are a congregation, a unified body of faith. And they are opening the door between the worlds. Then it happens. One of the dancers, a young woman, suddenly stumbles. Her eyes roll back in her head, and her body is seized by a great, shuddering convulsion. She is no longer herself. A great spirit, a Loa, has come from the spirit world and is now riding her, using her body as its horse, its chwal. The woman's movements change. She is no longer a simple field hand. She moves with an ancient, masculine authority. Her voice, when she speaks, is not her own. It is a deep, rough, and powerful voice that demands rum and tobacco. One of the assistants lights a crude cigar and places it in her mouth. Another gives her a bottle of rum, from which she drinks deeply. One of the dancers is now possessed by the spirit of a great warrior god. Her voice has dropped 3 octaves, and she's demanding rum and a cigar. It's an intense and very specific form of performance art. This is the great warrior spirit, Ogu Ferre, the Loa of iron and battle. Wearing the body of a young woman as his vessel, Maman Brigitte approaches the possessed dancer with great reverence. She bows her head. Greetings, great Ogu. She says, we have called you because we have a grievance. A servant of the masters, an overseer named Jean-Pierre, has been cruel beyond measure. He has beaten our brothers and dishonored our sisters. We seek justice. She turns to you and nods. With trembling hands, you unwrap the crude doll you created and present it to the being that now inhabits the dancer's body. The Loa takes the doll. It holds it up, examining it with cold, ancient eyes. It seems to be looking not at the doll, but through it, at the spirit of the man to whom it is tied. A low, terrible growl rumbles in the dancer's chest. The god is displeased. Justice will be done. The Wanga, the curse, begins. It is a ritual of slow, specific, and righteous punishment. Maman Brigitte hands the Loa a series of long, sharp thorns from a local tree. The man's feet are too quick to run to cruelty. She says the Loa, holding the doll, takes a thorn and slowly, deliberately, pushes it deep into the doll's cloth leg. His tongue is a whip of vile words. She continues. The Loa takes another thorn and pushes it into the doll's head. Where the mouth would be, and his hand, she says, her voice thick with rage. The hand that holds the whip is stained with the blood of our people. The Loa takes a final, great thorn, and drives it into the doll's right arm. The curse isn't just to cause random pain. It's very specific. A pin in the leg to make him clumsy. A pin in the mouth to make him quiet. It's less a curse and more a divinely mandated performance review with very sharp feedback. When the ritual is complete, the Loa hands the pierced doll back to Maman Brigitte. The god's work is done. The drumming changes its rhythm, becoming slower, softer. The possessed dancer shudders one last time and collapses, caught by the other women. A moment later, she awakens, dazed and with no memory of what has just happened. Maman Brigitte takes the cursed doll. She wraps it in a black cloth along with some hot peppers and graveyard dirt. This is the Wonga packet, an object of concentrated magical power. At dawn, she will have it secretly buried near the door of the overseer's own cabin. The ceremony is over. The community disperses, melting back into the darkness before the sun rises, their faces holding a new, secret, and dangerous hope. In the days that follow, you watch and you wait. And you see the magic work on the second day. The overseer, Jean-Pierre, a man known for his sure-footed arrogance, stumbles on a perfectly flat piece of ground and falls. Twisting his ankle so badly he must now walk with a heavy limp. A day later, he develops a terrible affliction of the throat, his loud, booming voice. The voice that shouted insults and commands is reduced to a weak, painful, hoarse whisper. And on the fourth day, as he is raising his whip to strike a worker, a sudden, sharp cramp seizes his right arm. He drops the whip, his hand clenched into a useless, trembling claw. The next day, your cruel boss trips over his own feet and loses his voice. Everyone agrees it's a terrible, unexplainable tragedy. Everyone also tries very hard not to smile. You are filled with a terrifying, triumphant awe. You have witnessed the power of your people's gods. You have seen how a few sticks, a bit of moss, and a lock of hair can be used to bring a powerful man to his knees. You have seen how magic can bring justice to a world that has none. Maman Brigitte sees the look in your eyes. The mixture of fear and power. You have learned how to use a pointe as a weapon. She says to you one night, "It is a necessary skill for our people, but do not let your heart be filled with only vengeance." She takes your hand. "The same power that can harm can also heal." She whispers, "The same vessel that can carry a curse can also carry a blessing. Now that you have learned to fight, I will teach you how to mend." The overseer, Jean-Pierre, is a broken man. He limps through the plantation on his twisted ankle, his voice a hoarse whisper, his whip hand trembling and weak. He is still a cruel man, but his cruelty is now impotent. The other slaves look at him with a new and fearless contempt. They look at you, and at Maman Brigitte, with a secret. Knowing respect, you have seen the power of the Loa used as a sword of justice. Maman Brigitte, however, knows that your education must be balanced. A man who knows only how to use a hammer sees every problem as a nail to be struck. She tells you one night in the quiet of the clearing, the pointe, the doll, is a vessel of great power. You have seen it used to carry a curse. Now, you will see how it is used to carry a blessing. The opportunity arises a few weeks later. A sickness sweeps through the slave quarters. A fever that strikes the children hardest. A young boy, the son of a friend of yours, is gravely ill. The master's wife provides a useless tonic of bitter herbs, but the child only grows weaker, his breathing shallow, his spirit fading. The child's mother, her eyes wide with terror, comes to Maman Brigitte in the dead of night. His spirit is weak. She sobs. It is being pulled away to the land of the dead. Please, mother. You must call it back. You must bind it to his body. Maman Brigitte agrees. We will make a house for his spirit, she says. A strong house. To keep it safe until his body can heal. Once again, you are tasked with creating a doll. But this time, the materials and the intention are entirely different. You do not use sticks from a dead tree, but fresh, pliable branches from a living one. The stuffing is not the gray, dusty Spanish moss, but soft, clean cotton, carefully pilfered from a bale awaiting shipment. And the thread you use to bind it is not black, the color of curses, but white, the color of purity and healing. The mother gives you the necessary sympathetic links, a few precious strands of her son's hair, and a small, sweat-dampened piece of the cloth he lies upon. You place these items in the heart of the doll as you wrap the clean cotton around the frame. You do not focus on anger or revenge. Maman Brigitte instructs you to fill your mind with thoughts of life, of strength, of health. You are not forging a weapon. You are weaving a blanket. You are building a sanctuary. That night, a different kind of ceremony is held. The drums are played, but the rhythm is slow, gentle, and welcoming. It is a cool rada rhythm, a call to the ancient, benevolent spirits of your African homeland. Maman Brigitte draws a new veve on the earth, this one for Loko Atasu, the great Loa of healers, the one who knows the secrets of all the plants and herbs of the forest. A different dancer is possessed this time. When the spirit enters her, there's no violence, no rage. Her movements become slow, graceful, and filled with a profound and gentle wisdom. The Loa Loko, the great healer, is now among you. Maman Brigitte presents the new, white doll to the spirit. Great Loko, she says, her voice full of reverence. A child of our community is weak. His spirit wishes to flee his body. We ask you to strengthen him. We ask you to bind his soul to his life. The Loa, speaking through the dancer, takes the doll. It does not pierce it. It cradles it gently, as if it were a real infant. It breathes onto the doll's face. A symbolic act of breathing life back into the child's spirit. The Loa then has Maman Brigitte anoint the doll with a special mixture of cool water and crushed fragrant leaves. A magical healing poultice. The doll is then wrapped in more clean, white cloth and rocked gently as the drummers play a soft, lulling rhythm. The entire ritual is one of nurturing, of protection, of coaxing a spirit back to health. You watch and you understand. The magic is a neutral force, like the fire in your cooking pit. It can be used to scorch and to burn, or it can be used to create warmth and nourishment. It is the intention of the person who wields it that makes it a thing of good or of evil. The next morning, you go to the sick child's hut. The fever has broken. He is weak and pale, but his eyes are clear, and he asks for water in a small, strong voice. His mother weeps. But this time, her tears are tears of joy. The healing ritual has worked. You have witnessed magic used not as a weapon of vengeance, but as the only form of medicine your people truly have. You've discovered that magic can be used to curse your enemies and heal your friends. It's a very versatile skill set. Your training has reached a new level. You have learned to work with the spirits on a personal level, to focus their power through a Iwen for a specific task. You have brought both harm and healing to individuals. Maman Brigitte is pleased with your progress. You have a strong heart and a steady hand, she says to you. You have learned the small magic, the magic for one soul. She looks at you, her eyes seeming to pierce right through you. But there is a greater magic, the magic of the whole community. A magic so strong it can shake the foundations of the Master's world. It is the magic that happens when the Lo are so pleased that they come down to dance among us in their own persons. She tells you that you are now ready. Tonight, she says, there will be a great service in the deep forest. You will hear the real drums, You will see the great dance. You will see the gods themselves. You are ready. The night of the great service arrives, carried on the dark wings of a new moon. Maman Brigitte leads you and a small, trusted group away from the plantation, your path lit only by the stars. You leave the familiar sugarcane fields behind, venturing deep into the island's high, forested hills, a landscape of immense trees and profound, ancient silence. Your journey ends in a large, natural clearing, a place that feels remote and safe. This is the community's secret Haunfour, their hidden temple. In the center of the clearing, a tall, smooth pole, the poteau mitan, has been planted in the earth. Maman Brigitte explains that this is not just a pole, it is the pathway, the great road down which the spirits will travel from their world into yours. At its base, a new, more complex veve has been drawn in white cornmeal on the dark earth. A more permanent altar stands to one side, laden with offerings, roasted yams, bottles of rum, crude clay vessels, and the familiar, sorrowful images of the Catholic saints. People are already gathered here, dozens of them, slaves from your plantation and from neighboring ones, their faces filled with a solemn, excited anticipation. A set of 3 drums, the heart of the Voodoo faith, are being warmed by a small fire. The ceremony begins with the drums. The master drummer, a man whose hands are a blur of disciplined energy, strikes the largest drum, the manman, and a deep, resonant boom echoes through the forest. Then the other 2 drums join in, weaving a complex, powerful, and hypnotic rhythm. This is not just music, it is a language, it is a call. Maman Brigitte, as the mambo begins to chant, her voice strong and clear. The congregation answers her, their voices rising together in a powerful chorus. They sing praise to the great Loa, and they sing a formal, respectful song to Papa Legba, asking him to open the gate so the other spirits may enter. The dancing begins. It is not a dance of celebration, but one of prayer. The people form a circle, moving in a slow, shuffling step around the poteau mitan, their bodies swaying with the relentless rhythm of the drums. The energy in the clearing builds, the air growing thick and heavy, charged with a power that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Then, it happens. The drumming suddenly becomes more frantic, more intense. A young man in the circle of dancers stops, his body beginning to tremble, then to shake with a violent, uncontrollable force. He lets out a great cry, his eyes rolling back in his head, and he falls to the ground. The other dancers move back, giving him space. After a moment, he rises again, but the man who rises is not the young field hand you know. His movements are no longer those of a young man. They are ancient and unsteady. He stumbles forward, leaning on a phantom cane. He speaks, and his voice is that of a frail, raspy old man. It is Papa Legba, the gatekeeper, who has arrived first, riding the body of the young man as his horse. The gate is now open. What follows is a procession of the gods, a divine parade that leaves you breathless with awe and terror. The drumming shifts, calling a new spirit. A beautiful woman begins to dance, and she is mounted by Ursulia Freda. The spirit of love and luxury, her movements become impossibly graceful and vain. She weeps with a delicate sorrow, then demands perfume and sweet cakes from the offerings, which are brought to her with reverence. The drums change again. A hard, fast, martial rhythm now. A powerful, muscular man is seized. When he rises, it is Ogu, the god of war, who looks out from his eyes. He moves with a soldier's rigid posture. He takes a machete from one of the men and performs a fierce, symbolic dance of battle, his movements sharp and dangerous. And then, the most unsettling and powerful spirits of all arrive. The Gede, the spirits of the dead. The drums find a new, wild, and chaotic rhythm. Another man is possessed, but this time, the transformation is shocking. He rises, his body moving with a crude, lurching, and outrageously suggestive dance. He cackles with a high, piercing laugh. He grabs a bottle of rum that has been infused with hot chili peppers and drinks it down as if it were water, showing no pain. His jokes are foul, his movements obscene. He is Baron Samedi, the lord of the graveyard, a spirit of life, death, and riotous, irrepressible energy. A man is now possessed by a spirit of the dead. His first act is to tell a very rude joke about the plantation owner, steal a bottle of rum, and start dancing with the oldest woman in the village. The spirits of the dead, it turns out, have a very strange sense of humor. You watch. A silent, overwhelmed observer. This is the true and awesome power of Voodoo. The gods are not distant beings to be prayed to. They are family. They are living, breathing presences who can come and dance among you, who can speak with you, who can offer their power directly. This is not a religion of quiet contemplation, Modine. It is a religion of direct, ecstatic, and sometimes terrifying communion. As the drums beat a particularly powerful rhythm, you feel it yourself. A strange dizziness. A feeling that your own limbs want to move with a will that is not your own. The world seems to tilt, and you feel a great, unseen presence hovering just behind your own eyes, asking to be let in. You feel like you're about to be possessed. It's an interesting feeling, a bit like having too much rum, but much, much scarier. Maman Brigitte, who has been watching you, sees the look on your face. She quickly moves to your side and places a calming hand on your shoulder, whispering a quiet, protective charm. The feeling recedes. Not yet, little one. She murmurs, "You are not yet strong enough to be a horse for such a great rider." The ceremony rages on for hours, a whirlwind of drumming, dancing, and divine possession. Until the first hint of dawn touches the eastern sky, the drums fall silent. The last of the spirits depart. The dancers collapse. Exhausted, the congregation is left spent, but also renewed, their souls filled with the power and the peace of having danced with their own gods. You walk back to the plantation in the pre-dawn gloom, your mind reeling. You now understand the true nature of this faith. It is not just a collection of spells and curses. It is a deep and powerful wellspring of spiritual energy. It is the one thing the masters cannot control, the one place where the slaves are not powerless. You realize that a people who can call down the gods, who can dance with them in the night, can never be truly and completely enslaved. Their bodies may be in chains, but their souls are free, and their gods are warriors, and you feel the first, dangerous, and revolutionary spark ignite in your own heart. The great ceremony in the forest has changed you. You have seen the gods dance, and the memory of their power has burned away your fear, replacing it with a hard, cold resolve. You are no longer just a slave, a piece of property belonging to Monsieur Charpentier. You are a servant of the Loa, the great and terrible spirits of your people, and your soul belongs only to them. Your apprenticeship with Maman Brigitte deepens. Your secret lessons are no longer just about healing and personal justice. They are now about the larger struggle. You become part of the hidden network that connects the slaves across the plantations. You learn that Voodoo is more than just a religion. It is a secret government, a hidden system of communication, and an underground army in waiting. You meet Maroons, escaped slaves who live free in the mountains, who move like ghosts through the forest, carrying messages from one plantation's Voodoo society to another. They bring news of resistance, of planned uprisings, of the growing spiritual power of the enslaved people. Maman Brigitte teaches you the magic of this resistance. You learn to create new kinds of poen, not just dolls to lame a single overseer, but powerful charms to protect the fugitive Maroons from the master's hunting parties. You learn to assist in rituals of divination, not to find the source of a sickness, but to ask the Loa for guidance on the coming war. Will the time be right soon? Maman Brigitte asked the spirits. Will the warrior Godogu march with us? The magic you have learned is now being forged into a weapon of revolution. You see how the very structure of your faith is a tool of resistance. The masters force you to worship their saints. But in doing so, they have given you a perfect secret language. A discussion about St. James becomes a plan for a military uprising under the patronage of Voodoo. A prayer to St. Peter becomes a secret message about opening the gates to a plantation. Future historians will debate the role of Voodoo in the Great Haitian Revolution that is to come. Was it the primary organizing force, or just one factor among many you? Living in the heart of the conspiracy. Know the truth, it is everything. The political desire for freedom and the spiritual desire to serve your gods without restraint are one and the same. The revolution will not just be a war of men against men, it will be a holy war, a dance Voodoo with machetes and torches. The time comes in the summer of 1791. A secret message is passed through the network. A great secret gathering is to be held, a meeting of representatives from all the most powerful plantations in the region. It will take place deep in the woods, at a place called Boas Cayman, a powerful houngan from Jamaica. A man named Duddy Bookman will be there to preside alongside the great mambos of your own land. You accompany Maman Brigitte on the long, secret nighttime journey. The scene that greets you at Bois Cayman is one of awesome and terrifying power. Hundreds of slaves are gathered in a great clearing, their faces illuminated by a massive bonfire, their eyes burning with a unified, revolutionary fire. The ceremony begins. The drumming is a thunder that seems to shake the very mountains. The chanting is a single, mighty roar. A great storm breaks out overhead, the lightning and thunder seeming to answer the call of the drums. A dancer is possessed, not by a lesser spirit, but by a great and terrible one. It is the spirit of Erzeli Dantor, the hot patro aspect of the goddess of love. Her face a mask of protective fury, her cheeks scarred with tears of rage for the suffering of her children. Then, a great black pig is brought into the center of the clearing. It is sacrificed, and its blood is collected in a great gourd. Duddy Boukman, the leader, holds the gourd aloft. The god of the white man demands crime, he roars, his voice a clap of thunder. Our God asks for good deeds, but this God who is so good, he orders us to vengeance, he will direct our arms and aid us. Throw away the symbol of the God of the whites who has so often caused us to weep, and listen to the voice of liberty, which speaks in the hearts of us all. He drinks from the gourd of blood, and then it is passed among the leaders of the revolt. They each drink, sealing a great and terrible blood pact. They are no longer just slaves, they are now a unified army, sworn to a single purpose, freedom or death. The ceremony ends. The plan is made. The great uprising will begin in 1 week. The signal will be given, and the slaves across the plain will rise up as one. You walk back to your plantation, your soul on fire. You are no longer just an apprentice. You are a revolutionary. You look at the simple cane knife you use in the fields every day, but you see it now with new eyes. You see it not as a tool of your enslavement, but as a weapon of your liberation, a machete. You know that with the blessing of Ogu. It is as powerful as any soldier's sword. You look out from the edge of the forest at the distant, flickering lights of the great houses of the plantations, the homes of your white masters. They are sleeping in their soft beds, ignorant of the storm that is about to break over their heads. The disturbing origins of Voodoo, born in the darkness of the slave ship, forged in the brutality of the sugar fields, have led to this moment. The secret rituals, the hidden gods, the dolls. The curses, they were never just superstition. They were the forging of a soul, the gathering of a power, the secret preparation for a great and terrible fire. And the fire is now ready to be lit. The night of the great ceremony at Bois Cayman ends with the taste of blood and gunpowder in the air, and the fire of revolution in your soul. In the week that follows, a tense, electric quiet hangs over the plantations of the northern plain. You and your comrades wait for the signal. You go about your daily work in the cane fields. Your face is a mask of sullen obedience, but your eyes hold a new, hard light. You are no longer just slaves. You are soldiers in a waiting army. Then the signal comes. A conch shell horn sounds from a distant hill, and it is answered by another, and another, and from the slave quarters of a dozen plantations. The drums begin to beat the fast, hard, angry rhythm of the petro-spirits. The rhythm of war, that night. The coming fire you foresaw becomes a literal reality. The cane fields, the source of the master's wealth and your own misery, are set ablaze. The night sky turns a brilliant, terrifying orange. You and the other members of your plantation's secret society, armed with cane knives, sharpened hoes, and the righteous fury of the god Ogu. Rise up. You are no longer a frightened boy. You are a warrior, fighting for the liberation of your people and the honor of your gods. What follows is not a single battle, but a long, brutal, and heroic war. The Haitian Revolution lasts for more than a dozen years. It is a chaotic and bloody struggle against the French plantation owners, against the soldiers of the French Republic, against the invading Spanish, and against the English. It is a war that will see entire armies destroyed and the most profitable colony in the world burned to the ground. During these long years of war, your role changes. You are not just a fighter. Your knowledge of the rights, taught to you by Maman Brigitte, makes you a spiritual leader. You become a houngan, a priest for your fellow soldiers. Before a battle, you lead the chants to Ogu, calling on the spirit of iron and war to harden the blades of your comrades' machetes. You create protective charms, or guards, for the warriors to wear. Small packets of herbs and sacred objects that you seal with prayers and drops of rum. You are a healer of spiritual wounds, a keeper of the flame of your people's faith in the midst of the fire of war. You witness the full power of your religion as a tool of liberation. The vevey drawn in the dust before a battle becomes your war banner. The drumming becomes your signal corps. The spirit possessions that sometimes seize a fighter in the heat of battle are not seen as a weakness, but as a sign that the gods themselves are fighting alongside you. Future historians will write that the Haitian Revolution was the only successful slave revolt in human history. You know why it succeeded. It succeeded because you were not just an army of men. You were an army of men who could dance with gods. And after 13 years of unimaginable bloodshed and sacrifice, you win. The French are driven into the sea. The chains are broken forever. In 1804, you and your people declare the birth of a new nation, Haiti, the first free black republic in the world. The narrative now jumps forward many years. You are an old man. You have survived the revolution. You have survived the turbulent years that followed. You are a respected elder, a great houngan, sitting in the sun outside your own small, clean house in the hills above Port-au-Prince. The land is no longer Saint-Domingue. It is Haiti. It is yours. You look at your grandchildren playing, and you reflect on the long, strange, and terrible journey of your life. You think back to the darkness of the slave ship, to the brutality of the sugar plantation. You think of Maman Brigitte and your first lessons in magic in the secret clearing. You think of the first crude doll you made, the doll that was a vessel for a curse against a single. Cruel man. You now understand the true, disturbing origin of these things. The voodoo doll, the poen, the curse. The Wanga, they were not born of a primitive or savage impulse. They were born of an absolute and desperate need for justice in a world where none existed. They were the tools of a powerless people, a way to fight back against an enemy they could not strike with their own hands. The curse you placed on the overseer Jean Pierre was not just an act of revenge, it was an act of rehearsal. It was practice for the greater magic to come the breaking of the chains of an entire people. The true voodoo doll was the institution of slavery itself, an effigy of your people that the masters believed they controlled, and the pins you stuck in it were the secret meetings, the drum rhythms in the night, the blood oaths in the forest, and finally, the machetes and the torches of the Great Revolution. And so your story, the story that began in the terror of the Middle Passage, comes to its proud and quiet end. You have seen how a people's most sacred and secret beliefs, born of suffering and resistance, can become a force powerful enough to shatter an empire and create a nation. The disturbing origins of Voodoo are the origins of a fight for freedom. Let the memory of that great and terrible fire now cool. The drums are silent. The rage of the warrior spirits is at peace. The smoke has cleared to reveal the green, vibrant, and free mountains of Haiti. The story of the curse has become the story of the cure of liberty. The legends of voodoo dolls and dark curses will continue to be told in the outside world. Stories born of fear and misunderstanding. But you know the truth. You know the power was never in the doll itself. It was in the unbreakable will of the people who made it. Let that quiet strength, that profound peace of a people who freed themselves, now settle over you. There are no curses here. There is no more fire. There is only the stillness of the night and the deep, restful sleep of a free soul.